It's official. The New York Knicks have hired their next head coach of this team as Leon Rose gets the guy that he has been looking for throughout this process. And also another update has come as there is more on the coaching, while also the coaching staff, the new coaching staff, does have an opinion on this Knicks core as well, with fans taking zero time to start floating trades around as well. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things. As always, if you guys are part of that percentage just not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe. We got daily videos like this. We got a bunch of all the latest and best Knicks content for you to watch and just really enjoy. Make sure to subscribe. Let's jump into it because it's official. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Mike Brown has been hired as the next head coach of the New York Knicks, as revealed from multiple sources, as Shams Charania was the first to reveal that the New York Knicks are expected to land on two-time NBA Coach of the Year Mike Brown as the franchise's next head coach. And as Bagley confirmed, the Knicks are closing in on hiring Mike Brown as the next head coach, according to league sources. Brown met with owner James Dolan yesterday, and the deal is expected to be finalized soon. So the Knicks will be going with Mike Brown after a bunch of talk about so many different names popping up. Mike Brown, who interviewed for the job in 2020 and very much impressed Leon Rose and co back then, now gets his chance 5 years later after spending 3 years with the Sacramento Kings, or 2.5 years with the Sacramento Kings, leading them to their first playoff appearance since 2006. Now, there is a bunch about that you could like or not like. They had one of the most efficient offenses in NBA history. They play in transition. We're going to see a Knicks team that is built to play in transition, play more transition, offensively styled basketball, which is what this team needed. The Knicks needed an offensive first head coach, and they got one in Mike Brown. Brown is a long time NBA head coach, as he's been the head coach of multiple teams, including the Cleveland Cavaliers, Los Angeles Lakers, and Sacramento Kings. The Knicks are his fourth stop on this train. Now, he started with the Cavs, had a successful run there, 50-32, 50-32, 45-37, 66-16, 61-21. His run with Cleveland was great. He did leave at the same point that LeBron James left. He finished off his Cleveland Cavaliers coaching career very successfully with a very good record when you look at it. Wow, it's nice. 305 and 187. Good job done. With LA over 2 seasons, he coached 71 games, going 42-29 in that process. Obviously, he took over for the end of the season with the Lakers, only coaching 5 games. They went 1-4 in that 2012-2013 point. But then in 2013-14, things not exactly went great. But look, when it all comes down to it, the Knicks got a new head coach in Mike Brown, who did a great job with the Sacramento Kings, won multiple rings as an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors, and fans should very much be excited about this. Now, I'm not the biggest Mike Brown fan. I'm not going to switch up just because the Knicks did hire the guy. I have my issues with Mike Brown. I've been very vocal about that I've had my issues with Brown. I think he's a coach that does have obvious flaws on the defensive side of the game. I do think he has blind spots as well that he's just not going to notice, and that Knicks fans should approach this with cautious optimism. Can he win an NBA Finals as a head coach? Yes. Was he my first pick? No. Would I have preferred Taylor Jenkins or James Borrego over him? Absolutely. I wanted one of Jenkins or Borrego. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't. Those were the two guys I wanted. The Knicks seemingly liked Mike Brown better when they did those first round of interviews, when Brown and Jenkins were the first to interview. And then they also did interview Borrego. And we do have an update on James Borrego as well when it comes down to Leon Rose's coaching search and what went down with James Borrego. Now, jumping into that, we did know from Ian Begley as of yesterday that James Borrego is currently employed by the New Orleans Pelicans and under contract, so there would be hurdles to adding him to a potential Mike Brown coaching staff. Also, the Knicks like Borrego, and he was still viewed as a head coaching candidate up until yesterday at that point in the process. The same went for Mike Nori, but Mike Brown does see Borrego as an important addition on his staff if a Knicks deal is to go through, which it did, as Mark Stein noted. Now, Borrego is viewed across the league as a coach with a strong offensive sets and creativity, and one who places an emphasis on ball movement, spacing, and player development, all the things that the Knicks wanted. All 3 coaches mentioned above have had first interviews with the Knicks. Taylor Jenkins did as well, and as Ian Begley mentioned, I mentioned Borrego and Nori specifically because they're the 2 assistant coaches who have been interviewed. they didn't mean to imply, or Ian didn't mean to imply, that Jenkins was not a candidate. And Begley said, I don't know if he is or if he isn't. The Knicks are signaling that they could bring other coaches they've interviewed back for a second round of interviews. Mike Brown's second interview was yesterday. Obviously, when he met with James Dolan, it was very clear what was going to happen. And as Begley noted, there are hurdles to adding James Borrego to the staff, but new coach Mike Brown does see James Borrego as an important addition to this team. So the Knicks, they're going to have to find a way to go get James Borrego. Mike Brown wants him as his associate head coach. And as 76 sirens are outside my apartment because the Knicks do have a new head coach, and I do live fairly close to MSG, so it's all the sirens saluting Mike Brown right now to try to get us that ring. James Borrego, he is going to be an important guy on this coaching staff for a multitude of reasons, and the Knicks would likely have to give a second-round pick or two to grab him off the Pelicans, and I'm perfectly fine with doing that because I want Borrego. I'm a big James Borrego supporter. I loved when the Hornets hired him. I thought it was an excellent move. I thought firing him was an absolute joke where the front office needed a scapegoat so they wouldn't get fired, and at the end of the day, I believe they still did, as they should, because they suck, but Borrego should have never lost that job at the Hornets. He was an excellent head coach. He had the Hornets as one of the most efficient offenses in the league, despite the fact that they had a lack of talent outside of LaMelo Ball. They made a play-in tournament, but then started to regress, and it wasn't Borrego's fault. It's the team didn't put talent around Ball, and Ball kept getting injured. So it has nothing to do with James Borrego's ability. Borrego's an excellent, excellent coach, and I know that him coaching with the Pelicans and with the Hornets, people are going to be a little bit weary, but he did coach under Greg Popovich. He did work as an assistant coach for New Orleans once upon a time for 2 years before going to Orlando as an assistant coach and then taking over as an interim head coach going 10 and 20 in the 30 games that he coached. The Magic weren't great that year, so that kind of explains itself. Outside of that, he was with the San Antonio Spurs for 3 years, learning under Greg Popovich as an assistant. So he comes off the Popovich tree, did 4 years with Charlotte before taking a break and then coming back as an assistant, or an associate head coach, I should say, for the Pelicans, and now Brown wants Borrego at that associate head coaching spot, and I could not agree more. I love James Borrego. Now, the Knicks, the core of Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Miles McBride, Jordan Clarkson, Gershon Yabusele, and Mitchell Robinson is a championship core. What do they need? A championship coach. And the question is, can Mike Brown do that? He's yet to win a championship as a head coach, but he has won multiple championships as an assistant coach. Now, it didn't take Knicks fans long to start asking for, oh, well, now here we go. Here's the LeBron to the Knicks rumors. Here's the, I need to put that on the big screen so you guys can read it. Here's the Malik Monk and Keon Ellis for Josh Hart, Pacome, and a draft pick rumors coming around. It didn't take long for fans to start floating trades around here left, right, and center because guys who Mike Brown coached before and did like coaching. So obviously that will play a factor into things. However, I don't think the Knicks are going to make any big trades based off everything we've seen thus far in regards to Brown, because what we've learned from Chris Persianen is that we have heard to the extent to which Mike Brown was bought in on Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns as a duo was notable to the Knicks throughout the interview process. That doesn't mean the Knicks are married to the pairing, though. Things change fast, but making the most of what you have may be a factor after all. And I think it is. I think that the Knicks core is mostly going to stay around, at least for the near future. I don't know if the Knicks are always going to be super in on Karl-Anthony Towns, and I think if they had to trade him in a Giannis trade, they would trade Towns. I don't think they're that married to him. I mean, Giannis is way better, so you just kind of do that. I don't think they would trade Karl-Anthony Towns in any sort of deal involving LeBron James. In fact, I don't really think LeBron's going to get traded at all. I really don't think he'd get traded to the Knicks. I do think the Knicks should be viewed as one of the favorites for Bron, but I don't think he's going to get traded because the man has been in LA for a while now. He lives in LA. I don't think he necessarily wants to leave Los Angeles because, well, if you've experienced the LA year-round weather, then it makes some sense. And LeBron likes the warm weather. He was sick of that whole Midwest stuff. So obviously that stuff is going to come up. But the only person who I really see the Knicks moving Karl-Anthony Towns for would be Giannis Antetokounmpo, who right now it is a question on if he's actually going to officially request a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks or not, despite the fact that the Bucks do not have a championship core around him. Miles Turner is not a second-best player. So I do believe the Knicks will go into the season with the same core, a core that Mike Brown is going to be able to work well with. If they start Deuce McBride, they have a 5 out. If They start Mitchell Robinson. They have a very interesting double big lineup that has a ton of shooting and a ton of defense on it and can play well in transition and can really benefit off Mitchell Robinson's offensive rebounding as well. Mike Brown likes teams to move the ball a lot. So does James Borrego. There's going to be a team effort. We're not going to have to see Jalen Brunson just ISO, cat pick and roll, cat pick and roll, cat pick and roll, ISO pick and roll, ISO pick and roll, force a switch. We're not going to see that. This isn't Tom Thibodeau's freelance nothing offense, traffic jam offense, as a lot of people put it. It's not that. This is going to be a revamped, modern offense that saw a Sacramento Kings team that had a lot less talent on it play in what should be a very, very highly successful offense for the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be fun to watch with Mike Brown. As I've said, I have my critiques. I don't know. I don't think he's the perfect coach. I don't think anyone's the perfect coach, but I think Mike Brown has obvious flaws. On the defensive end of the ball, there's things to worry about. However, there's a reason why he keeps getting jobs. He's a good interview, and he did bring the Sacramento Kings back. He has a very positive record on his career. When you look at Mike Brown's career record in the NBA, is 454 and 304. The man knows how to coach winning teams, and he knows how to win. Now, Bruce Velez of Celtics Digest is a big Mike Brown fan, and he's had this to say on Brown. He's had a good track record around the league. Also think the situation between him and De'Aaron Fox was overblown as it led to him being fired for no reason. Fox was going to be gone anyway and wanted Texas for months before the season had even started, after being the 3 seed and losing in 7 and then not making the playoffs the next year was his time to turn. But Sacramento wants to win and compete, so they wouldn't trade Fox, and that ultimately cost Mike Brown his job. There's also, in my opinion, no one better unless you get James Borrego or something like that, and Borrego will find his way to the Knicks most likely as well. What do you guys think of the hiring? What do you think about Borrego being the associate head coach? I don't mind this. I think it's better than Tom Thibodeau. I will say that. So I am happy. I just wanted Borrego as the head coach. I really fell for Borrego as the head coach. But still, Mike Brown's kind of old. I don't think he'll be the head coach forever. Borrego is definitely going to see a window to take over as the Knicks head coach in a couple of years from now. We'll reveal we won't reveal. We don't know the contract details yet. But we'll make a video and update on the contract details. We'll throw a bunch of other stuff in there because I'm not doing 8 minutes on a contract detail video. It makes no sense for anyone to watch. But we'll have some fun on the channel. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Mike Brown.